Hey, folks, welcome to this week's Marketing Ops AMA. And this week, Brandon is going to tell us about some really interesting SAL analysis that he's been doing.
Yeah. Before we get too far, do you want to let everyone know what we mean by SAL and why
Oh,
that's
yes, yes, yes.
important?
Oh, yes. Excellent, excellent. So, most of us are aware of the life cycle funnel that exists. We have marketing accepted lead and marketing engaged lead, marketing qualified lead, and then we get over to sales accepted lead. Now, the definition of sales accepted lead is, I would say, pretty contested a lot of times because what counts as sales accepting a lead
Yep.
can get a little dicey. So we had one client come to us and basically be like, "Hey, we don't actually have a definition for sales accepted lead." Or like nobody can agree on the definition. And we need you to do some analysis to help us understand. I think, Brandon, it was like what's converting better for an SAL, and then like what should the definition. So based on what converts well, how can we backtrack into a definition for what SAL should be for us?
Yeah, and I mean to give the listener some context. Um, this is not a traditional life cycle that's in Marketo. This
Yes.
life cycle is in Salesforce,
Yes, yes, yes.
so it's a little more complicated to manage. But we're okay.
We're
We
mixed.
manage it. Yeah. We're not scared of that. um, so is it's 100% managed by Salesforce flows, which are, for all intents and purposes, they're like smart campaigns,
Yeah.
a lot more robust, but they're kind of like that, right? Um, so we in a previous sort of iteration, we defined SAL as a salesperson,
Mhm.
or anyone really, attempting to contact this prospect. So
Yeah.
they have a status, a lead contact status of attempting. But what we realized, and I think to Alysha's point, a lot of us, when we're talking about what sales accepted means, we make a lot of assumptions. We make assumptions that a salesperson hasn't already tried to reach out to this prospect outside of the systems that you track, that the systems don't have a delay, that they're all talking to each other in the way that you think that they should be talking to each other, and that the actual activity that the person did was a true attempt to reach out to the prospect. Like it was a legitimate phone call, it was a legitimate email, whatever the case is. And all of these assumptions, um, if you are very optimistic, it can make your SAL rate look very high, and a lot of people will exclaim, "Oh, our sales accepted rate, accept or sales acceptance rate is 80%, 90%, 95%." And I would always suggest that you dive deep into that data and understand, well, what could be inflating that. Is that definition actually accurate? Because you don't want a really high acceptance rate at the expense of quality, or at the expense of
Yeah.
not really tracking it accurately.
And then to clarify that point then, I feel like you'll also know your SAL is too high if you're not getting enough ops at the other end of it, right?
Right. That's an excellent point. Is keeping the funnel in mind, right? Because that's what executives are doing. They're coming in and they're saying, okay, our goal, if I'm a marketing executive, my goal is to get the sales team 3x pipeline coverage. So the business says we need to do $10 million in revenue this year. That our sales, our conversion rate on ops is 10%. So we need to get them over the course of the year $100 million worth of pipeline value, 100 million times 10%. So that means, as a marketer, I need to create $300 million worth of
Mm,
pipeline over the course of the year, and that's broken up into quarters, because I want to give them more than enough, because there's a conversion, right,
yes.
from op open to op close. I think I did that math right. So that's generally how people are thinking about it, and when they're looking at the funnel, they're trying to understand, well, where are the breakpoints at, right? You know, Generally we produce a lot of, as marketing ops practitioners, we're at the top of the funnel, where we have the most impact is around MQLs, and that sales handoff, right? We're less so involved in after sales gets it and opens up an opportunity. Some
Yes.
places maybe not, but most places we're mostly involved at the first half. So you bring up an excellent point where if you're producing a lot of SALs, but there's no real change in your opportunity
Yes.
creation rate, progression rate, and close rate, you need to start looking at the types of records that sale is accepting because
Something.
something is not right.
And I think you could also apply that same logic to MQLs, right? Because even if you're generating a lot of MQLs and you're still not being able to impact opportunity creation and that basically end of the funnel, you're still the quality is still lacking at that level too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that's a fair point. I do think that it's hard to do that analysis. And we also see this too, where people make these jumps from MQL to op. There's so many things that can happen
Mhm.
from
Yeah, yeah.
someone MQLing. Your scoring could be too aggressive. It could be not aggressive enough. Sales could be taking, quite a while to reach out to these people, so they've already moved on to a competitor. Maybe your pricing wasn't, on par, right?
Mm,
There's so many things that can go wrong, and you need to be thinking about how you can put these checkpoints in place
yeah,
so that you can optimize for the funnel.
for the whole funnel. Okay, very cool. So what was the analysis you did?
Yeah, so we de-anonymized all of the data and loaded it into a LLM.
Sorry,
Mm.
hold on a second. De-anonymized. I think you mean anonymized because I feel like I had this discussion with somebody.
Anonymized.
We don't mean de-anonymized. We mean anonymous.
Anonymized. Yeah. So you take an activity ID, and you take, this is we're talking about the Salesforce activity here, and you
Mhm.
remove all of the information that could be identifiable, which is pretty easy since the objects kind of let you do that, or they you sort of know what you're looking for. Get rid of any email addresses that might be in the comments or the full comments or the description or anything like that, right? And then you're able to do text analysis on the activities. So what activities actually progress people to have a meeting with a salesperson,
Mhm.
right? So things like email, like forwarding an email or accepting a Zoom invite, or uh, other or out of office replies. These are things that are canonically not associated with progressing down the funnel. Now, accepting a meeting invite is it's a little bit leading because that means that something had to happen before that in order for that outreach to happen. So that's not the thing that's causing them to be sales accepted. There's like something that happened up
Yeah, yeah.
the chain there that you want to look at. So that's why we're filtering those things out so that we can get a clearer picture of like what activities actually impact
Mhm.
them going from being a delivered MQL to being a
Mhm.
worked MQL.
Mhm. Okay, very cool. What were there any other interesting findings out of the analysis you did?
Salespeople do a lot of interesting things. Um, they for they yeah they forward emails. They have conversations outside of the systems that are tracked. So when an activity does get tracked, the context for that activity is not there.
Okay.
So it makes it difficult to really understand, well, what's happening here,
Yeah, yeah,
because conversations can happen on the phone. They can happen depending on if you're in person. There's so many ways things can happen, and these systems are not perfect.
yeah. Yes.
Um, but that's why process is so meaningful, and taking a grain of salt with this data and knowing that it's not going to be perfect.
No, I agree with that. There's a startup that I'm working with that my only thing my only thing to their salespeople is like log your meetings, log your calls.
Right.
That I
Right.
literally like you can do a lot of other nonsense in the system and get away with it, but log your meetings, log your calls.
Right.
Everybody will be very thankful that your stuff is in there.
Right.
And the thing is, a lot of like most of the tools let you do it very easily once you're like all the integrations are set up, but taking that step to make sure all the integrations are set up. This particular client I'm thinking of is like on HubSpot. So like is HubSpot integrated correctly into everything? And like, yes, that does take some time and some hand holding with people, but like once it's in there and going, like it's way easier. So
Yep. Yep.
okay, well I think that's a pretty great place to end this episode. I think the TLDR is conversion rates matter. Don't be suspicious if your conversion rates look too good,
Mhm.
and track your activities. It'll get you very far.
Use the CRM.
Use your CRM. Yes, just use your tools.
Paying a lot of money for it.
All right, folks, we'll see you around next week. Bye.